Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf. It's Sunday and so it's time for another Books Weekly, my weekly video series in which I discuss the books that I've either started, read or finished the previous week. And it was quite a mixed week, but let's start off with the first book I've read, and that's Vicious by V.E. or Victoria Schwab. Well, I don't think that Victoria Schwab needs any introduction, and I've talked about it also in my last Books Weekly because I've started it just then. And oh dear, I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it at all. What's wrong with me? I have no idea. I've known so many people whose opinion on books I value, people who read similar things as I do and enjoy similar things, and they've all loved this book, and I just didn't enjoy it. I couldn't connect to the characters. It's about two men, Victor and Eli, who meet when they are in college, and they, by choice, develop special abilities. Eli can heal, and Victor can take away pain from himself and from others. And the story is about the two different directions they go into with their abilities. Eli on a quest to eliminate murder, other people with abilities, and Victor, after a 10-year prison sentence, looking for Eli in order to stop him. I couldn't connect to them. I couldn't connect to the other characters. I thought the story was boring. It didn't interest me. There were plot holes. I don't want to go into a rant because a lot of people really love this book, and I assume it must be my fault. So if you read Vicious, please let me know what you loved about it. There will be a sequel out, Vengeful, no publication date set yet, and maybe I'll try another V.E. Schwab or her more young adult books. But for the moment, I'm just baffled and disappointed and confused. Well, on to more positive things. The two books that I've started and finished the previous week. And the first one is Lauren Beukes, Broken Monsters. Lauren Beukes is a contemporary South African writer. She writes in English, although her name sounds very Dutch, and I always have to remind myself not to pronounce it in the Dutch way, which would be Beukes. But anyway, she writes science fiction, thriller, crime, sort of genre crossover, genre bending novels. Broken Monsters is the first book I've ever read by her, and it was fantastic. The book opens actually like a regular crime novel, with a crime scene, a detective, a female detective, Gabby, and they discover a body, which is already pretty weird because it's the top part of the body is a young boy and the bottom part is a deer, and those two body parts are glued together. This is no spoiler because you will read that if you read the book right in the first couple of pages. And then we change pace and we change point of view. We meet Lila, Gabby's teenage daughter, 15 years old, her best friend Cass. We meet kind of a shady filmmaking journalist character, Jono. We meet Clayton, who is an artist. And things are getting really weird, really wild, really fast. And the only thing I can say about it, it's superbly written. The story is really fascinating, talking about themes like art and identity and also crime and how crimes are solved and social media, especially with young people. Lila and Cass, they get involved in a social media scam trying to discover a pedophile and get him arrested. So there's lots going on, and the best advice I can give you is just buckle up and enjoy the ride, because it's a fantastic read. It's has a crime procedural, police procedural element, but also horror. And don't expect a regular crime novel in the sense that it's a whodunit, because fairly early on you can guess who is the serial killer, and it's revealed pretty obviously, I think 1/3 into the novel. So it's not about that, but it's about what will happen, whether they will get him, and the weird stuff that happens when the author crosses over to the horror genre. And it's just a fantastic book. So enjoy the ride. After this vicious start of the week, I felt I needed a break, and I turned to nonfiction, and I picked up Joyce Carol Oates' new essay collection, which came out, I think, 20th of September, end of September anyway, Soul at the White Heat. The subtitle of the collection is Inspiration, Obsession, and the Writing Life. So it's a collection of, the first part is essays about writing, Joyce Carol Oates reflecting on her own writing, and the biggest part is book reviews, critical essays on books, classics, lots of autobiographies, memoirs, but also contemporary books like Edna O'Brien's Little Red Chairs, the Paul Auster novels. So it's a very interesting mix, and the sort of overall binding theme of it all is the question: what inspires a writer? What is good writing? What does chance have to do with a writer's inspiration or obsessions? The sense of place, for instance, in Sadie Smith's novel London N.W. So if you enjoy Joyce Carol Oates, and if you enjoy reading book reviews and texts about writing, it's certainly a book for you. I finished it, I think 2 days ago. I will have to reread a couple of essays, because I have to write a book review for Open Letters Monthly, which is Steve Donahue's internet online literary magazine. I will leave a link to Steve's BookTube channel down below, and also a link to the website of the magazine. And I don't know what to write yet. I'm sweating because it's not an easy book to review, and I'm not a very experienced reviewer. So we'll see where it ends up and whether I manage to write a coherent review. And then we are already at the last book, a book I started Friday, and that is Joyce Carol Oates' novel The Man Without a Shadow. The book came out beginning of this year, and because I was reading the essay collection, I was looking for something to read after that, and then I saw Conrad, who is a booktuber over at 7 Days at Sea. I will leave a link to his channel down below and tell him he needs to make videos again, because he doesn't make videos at the moment. But anyway, Conrad was posting that he started to read that novel, and I thought, oh well, I forgot about it, that Joyce Carol Oates also had a novel come out beginning of the year. So I bought the book, rushed to the bookstore, bought the book, and started right away after finishing the essay collection. Man Without a Shadow is about basically two main people. We have Margot Sharp. She is a clinical psychologist, a scientist, and we have her subject, quote unquote, Eli Hoops. Eli Hoops has suffered a severe encephalitis, and due to that encephalitis, he lost his capacity to make short-term and long-term memory. So his memory span is 70 seconds. Whenever he sees something, he can remember it for 70 seconds, but if you leave the room after you met him and you come back a minute later, he will not remember you. The book is fiction, but it is based on the most famous case of this kind of amnesia, and that's Henry Molaison, who suffered from a lobotomy because he was epileptic, and with that lobotomy his capacity for memory was removed also. I will leave a link to the Wikipedia page of HM, as he was called, down below if you want to read up. the premise and the story really fascinates me. The idea that somebody is healthy, for all you know, but cannot remember anything beyond 70 seconds. It's impossible to imagine. I'm about 1/3 into the book. I have some doubts about Margot, about her professional attitude towards Eli, but 1/3 is nothing yet, so I will have to wait until I finish the book, and I will let you know in my next Books Weekly next week. So this was it for my Books Weekly, my week in books. I hope you've enjoyed it. Leave comments if you like about the books I've mentioned or about other books, and have a good Sunday for what it's left, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.